Parshat Pinchas is an unusual parsha in that the story of Pinchas really begins the week before during Parshat Balak, at the end of which Pinchas intervenes, saves the nation from a plague by killing Zimri, one of the princes of Israel who is having an illicit relationship, an immoral relationship with one of the daughters of Midian. But it's only in the next parsha, in Parshat Pinchas itself, that we find out whether or not Pinchas's act of zealotry, where he kills both Zimri and the woman with whom he was having this liaison, is ultimately rewarded and is given actually the stamp of approval by God. Why is it spread over two parshiot? So the rabbis tell us because this act was such an intense and such an extreme act that it could not be decided immediately whether Pinchas did the right thing or not. In the end, he did, and he was rewarded in that every future Kohen Gadol would come from his lineage. 99 future heads of the Beit HaMikdash, Kohen Gadol, would come from him. Nevertheless, although Pinchas was indeed rewarded, still he did not perhaps receive a complete and total approval, because we know that when Moshe was about to die, he has to choose a successor. Who would come after Moshe to lead the nation? Well, Moshe's first choice, apparently according to the rabbis, was his son, but God did not approve. Then Moshe appeals to God and says, Elokei Ruchot, God of spirits, he addresses him. Find someone who is a shepherd to lead this flock. And the rabbis tell us that Moshe was hinting, by using this phrase, Elokei Ruchot, to refer to God, find someone who can tolerate the different temperaments and the different personalities of the Jewish people. Not someone who would go to extremes one way or the other. Someone who would be patient, who would be forgiving, who would be tolerant. And of course, that was perhaps a hidden way of saying, maybe Pinchas, although he rose to great prominence by his act of courage and boldness to step in when nobody else would act, although he was indeed complimented and given approval by God, he was not the kind of person who could actually lead the nation. And so in the end, neither Moshe's son nor Pinchas are appointed the leader of the Jewish people. Instead, it is Yoshua, someone who would indeed represent this kind of acceptance of the nation as a whole, understanding that we are made up of many different types and many different personalities, and therefore the leader has to be someone who can incorporate everyone within the tent. And that's how Yoshua became Moshe's choice and ultimately God's choice to lead Am Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom.